We'll talk to Marlon right now. Marlon, who is calling in from the Philippines.
Marlon.
Philippines. Marlon, you are live on Truth One.
I remember Marlon.
Hello guys, how are you?
Doing good.
Hi, Marlon. Have you manifested any Mountain Dew lately?
Well, my food has been going well, and I am alive, so it's all good.
Good.
That's good. Marlon, I have here that you have personal experience with encountering spirits and the supernatural. Is that right?
Yes, and I want you guys to help me in a way, because as a believer, it makes me afraid. It doesn't help with my sleep, and I'm kind of having a hard time here. And just last week, me and my friends were hanging out over here for a sleepover, and
Are you not sleeping because of anxiety, or because the spirits themselves are keeping you awake?
I think it's because of the spirit.
Okay. I think you're about to tell us your experience with them.
Yes. With me and my friends were having dinner, and one of my buddies were crying because he was like, I see a woman in a bloody white dress behind you holding a baby. And I looked behind me, but she wasn't there. But she was so afraid. He's frozen solid. He's there. She's there. I can see it. And then about the night after that, when like waking up, about to take a sip for a glass of water, I saw the rocking chair right in front of that my dead grandma used to be on. She sits on that all the time before. It keeps rocking and rocking, just going and going. But there was no wind. The windows were closed. It was a closed tight space in the living room, and that makes me afraid, man. That makes me afraid.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what to do. Since I was a kid, I felt being touched, winds going around me in closed spaces, hearing bangs, hearing footsteps, hearing tappings on the windows, bangings on the roof.
Right. So you've actually.
I need help, man.
Okay. Well, so first, just need to clarify. Whenever we have calls like this, situations like this, just let you know, I'm not a licensed psychologist. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm just a call-in show host, okay? So I can give you my perspective on this, okay? I'm not here to cure anxiety. I'm not here to cure depression. I'm not here to do anything like that. I'm just here to give a perspective. That's really all I'm here to do. The fact is, right, and from my point of view, when you have a belief like that, whether or not the truth of that belief corresponds to reality. In other words, whether or not there's actually ghosts or not, there is an underlying feeling of anxiety there, is what it sounds like to me, right? It sounds like that there is something that's bothering you, and that fear is keeping you up. So whether or not actually spirits are harming you, you're stressed out, right? You're clearly stressed out. I don't think you'd be calling me and telling me about this if you weren't. So I think the first thing you should do is find a way where you're not as stressed out. Whether that means hanging out with some friends for a little bit, staying somewhere else for a little bit, or finding a thing that can distract you from these thoughts. Because I can at least tell you from my experience, and probably Kelley's experience, if there are spirits out there, I don't think they're going to be able to harm you or hurt you in any meaningful capacity. If anything, you would do that harm for yourself, right?
Right.
So, but besides that point, the first thing I think you should do, again, my perspective, would be to just kind of calm down a little bit, because it sounds like this is really giving you anxiety, and we don't make our best decisions when we're stressed out. Right? We want to be able to make decisions that are best for ourselves and are as rational as possible, and we want to do it under the best circumstances, and that's not the best circumstances, right? So that's my point number one. I think, did you have something you want to share on that, Kelley?
Not so much. I was really curious about some of the manifestations of this the white lady. Have you seen this spirit your whole life?
Well, yes, actually, I have tried to talk to it, call it out through a mirror or something, and it showed to me. I have on the mirror, and I have a photo of it on camera.
Marlon,
I have a photo of it.
Have other people in your family seen this spirit before you? Like did your parents experience the spirit before you did?
Right. Anybody else? Yeah.
They seen the picture of in the mirror. She showed herself. But then when I looked behind me, she wasn't there. But I was able to capture it.
Okay.
In the mirror.
But is there anybody else in your life that can also like verify a story like that, or is it just you right now?
I was wondering
People
if maybe
in the church, in the Christian community.
People in your church area? Okay. Yeah.
The rocking chair in this incident.
Okay, yeah, the rocking chair one, that was with other people, right?
Right.
Okay.
I was wondering if you had been told about this spirit as a child before you actually saw the spirit.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I am not an expert on Philippine culture at all, okay? I am not. But my understanding is, there is a tradition, a pretty strong tradition in the Philippines of the supernatural, right? That the supernatural does exist and intervenes in life sometimes. Like, is that correct, Marlon? Like, I would imagine stories like that are not uncommon in your community.
Yes, like Halloween stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Folklore.
So here's an interesting thing about another community of people who also thought of superstitious things. If you're familiar with American Christian history, right, you may be familiar with a thing called the Salem witch trials. And actually, there's multiple witch trials. The Salem ones were the most famous, right? And what happened during the Salem witch trials was there were the accounts, multiple people attesting sometimes to events or things that could not have otherwise possibly happened with women in the community doing acts of magic or purporting to do acts of the supernatural in some way. And sometimes they didn't even witness them at all. Sometimes there was such a paranoia around some of these people that people would pretend like they saw them, even when they weren't even near at the time. This is hysteria, right? This isn't reflecting reality in any sort of way. We can demonstrate through the historical record that, not only that these women were innocent, but oftentimes that a lot of these stories were false accusations on a whole other level, whether it be personal grudges or something else. This was a time of a people who were so paranoid about the things around them that they began to see things that otherwise weren't there. So, that's a thing that can happen, right? And if I were to judge your story, if I were to hear it from somebody else, even outside of the feelings that you just described me, I think what I'm hearing is what sounds like hysteria. What I'm hearing is a community that already has a predisposed belief towards the supernatural,
right,
and will interpret their experiences through that cultural lens. So I think what's happening is you're getting these ideas in your head from your community and from the people around you, and that's literally informing what you see. And I think that's making you paranoid. I think that's kind of freaking you out a little bit.
Yeah, and there's a long history. There's a long history of sightings of the haunted white woman in the Philippines.
Yeah.
This is a cultural phenomenon that's been going on for a long time.
Yeah. So what do you think of that, Marlon?
It may be possible that I am stressed out. This is all in my head. I tend to have nightmares and night terrors, sleep paralysis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I'm tired, after a long day, it like my mind is messing with me.
Yeah. I think that's fair because, Marlon, when I was younger, right, in the Christian church, I was taught that other people around me were inviting the Holy Spirit a literal spirit into themselves. And occasionally, although I didn't grow up Pentecostal, I would hear stories from other people who were speaking in tongues, who were able to kind of do these sort of quote unquote miracles on each other in these very excited, short states, right? And now, as an atheist, guess what? I've lived for over 5 years now as an atheist, longer than that. I have not experienced any of that whatsoever. I haven't heard any friends talk about miracles. I haven't heard any because my community doesn't believe in those things, and so we the atheist community we're not really interpreting our experiences, the weird things that we find sometimes under that lens, and I'm not stressed out about it. Right? It used to be something that really stressed me out. This idea that demons could possess people and things like that. Yeah. Right? So. You had something you want to say there, I think.
Well, I was going to say that was, it goes the other way, too, that not only are there these manifestations of good things from when people are possessed by spirits, but there's also these manifestations of demon possessions that we really can't prove actually happened either, that just seem to be a cultural thing. So.
Yeah. So Marlon, again, it may sound like a harsh, and I don't want to be this person that's like, telling you what your experiences are, because I want you to feel valid in your anxiety. You are valid in your anxiety. You're obviously stressed out. But, you asked me what my thoughts are. You asked me what's going on. That's what I think is going on, right? I don't think there's good evidence for the supernatural. I don't think there's good evidence for the paranormal. I don't think that there's good evidence for the similar stories that people have told, like yourself, in other cultures of people, in these kind of in these altered states, right? I mean, I think first and foremost, you should take care of you. You should take care of your health. And if you can talk to somebody about this, I don't know what the Philippine healthcare system is like. I don't know if you have access to mental health care. But if you can talk to a therapist or somebody in your area, I think my perspective is that would be a good idea to do. Because whether or not, again, let's say even if there are spirits or they're not spirits, you sound stressed out, my friend. You sound like you got a lot going on. And I think you got to take care of that first,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering, what do you guys think of this connection of dogs praying with their owners before a meal, or these dogs and cats reacting to worship music? On YouTube, they say the Holy Spirit is within them or something.
Huh. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I haven't really seen a lot of that.
Dogs reacting to ghosts.
Okay, so I'll tell you this, right? Animals are weird and they do funny stuff all the time, right? Like there could be nothing going on, and like my girlfriend's cat will just run around because they get the zoomies, like that happens. Dogs too, dogs will often mimic human behavior. So I imagine if somebody's praying and there's an air of solemnness in the air, like dogs can kind of pick up on that.
Yeah.
They can see dogs who are specifically trained to be emotional support dogs are literally trained to see when people are in distress and can try to help them out. So I think dogs have a sense of human emotions on some level. So it doesn't surprise me that a dog might be reacting to somebody praying. And if it's a ghost situation, again, like animals freak out at just random stuff. They're even more hypersensitive than we are to the noises around us, because that's evolutionarily, that's how they survive. So it also means that they can pick up false positives, right? Like, have you ever thrown something at your dog and then they try to look around, but you actually didn't throw it? You just kind of pretended like you throw it, or you make some
with a laser.
Yeah.
A laser.
Yeah. You make some noise, and the dog may be distressed, or they freak out when the doorbell rings because they don't have the tools to give context to what they're hearing all the time. And maybe they just hear something in the air, and dogs can hear stuff that we can't. So, they might just hear stuff that's just there, but it doesn't mean it's supernatural, right? It doesn't mean it's something paranormal going on.
Or smell things too.
Yeah,
they smell something out of the ordinary, they might act a little strange.
Yeah, so there you go, Marlon. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it's fascinating to hear about this, and for you guys helping me, it's been really good for me.
Good.
Inside and outside.
Well,
I can just listen to our podcast, when I go sleep, and turn the lights on for sleeping. It would do me good. Yeah.
Good. Well, if I want to be a source of stress relief for you. I don't want to cause you any anxiety, so I'm glad I'm glad we can do that. Marlon, we do have to let you go because we got some other folks that want to talk to us.
Guys, thank you.
Bye-bye. Chill out. Go buy some winning lottery tickets.
Yeah, go. Do whatever makes you happy, right? Like, that's such what an interesting call. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, I thought it was interesting. Marlon has been called in before. He's called in AXP.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I thought it was interesting how he kind of changed his tact a little bit. He wasn't making some of the crazy claims of his own abilities.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the first time he's called into this program. But yeah, that was my first time getting to talk with him.
Yeah.
But again, I'm harping on this a third time. If the spirits are real or not, you still need to take care of yourself.
Yeah, right.
He sounded distressed.
He did. He really did, and he needs to resolve that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.